This is the upper rack out of my Whirlpool dishwasher. And apparently there's actually a class action lawsuit going on against Whirlpool. I doubt it'll go anywhere, but they've been manufacturing this type of tray for years, and it's an epic piece of garbage. So here's the problem. These are the little rollers that hold it into the rails that come out, and they just clip right on top of these little posts. Great idea. This little post is almost built like a little I-beam. It works great for holding the weight vertically. The problem is, it's just these little clippy clips on the side that hold that roller on. And when you open the dishwasher and pull the drawer out, all of the force going against the side of this little roller gets transferred right over to this little clip, nothing to do with this I-beam, and you end up breaking these off, and your rack and your dishes come crashing down onto your other dishes. Your wife gets angry, and well, the rest of the day is just history. So the second time this happened to me, this is a replacement piece that's already been in here in my relatively new dishwasher. This time around, to get my dishwasher going and keep my dearly beloved happy, I took a small drill bit and drilled through the center of that plate, and then followed with a 1/4 inch or so drill bit. Found some spare parts in the garage and rigged up this little screw with some, they're just lock washers or whatever I could find to kind of take up space. And it just happens to fit right inside this little roller. It can still rotate on there. See the little nut that I have on there to kind of hold all that in place. We went right through there. All the spacers in the little nut on there give it room. I had a washer and nut on the back side, and that seemed to work great for a few days. Now I have these that I'm putting on here. And this is a very well constructed, obviously metal, much better than plastic, replacement part for the dishwasher. Reading the reviews for this before I ordered it, there were a couple of problems. Number one, a lot of people say these rollers suck, and I can see how. They are not like the OEM rollers that have a much larger flange that fits inside the little slide rails in the dishwasher. So on the other side that I already have installed, I removed these. You want to push on the back of this because there's a little plastic piece that fits in that slot. Push on the back of this, that screw comes right out. You can pull off this crappy little roller that comes with it and install your OEM rollers on these. I'll make another video again in just a minute. There were 2 complaints about these replacements. The first being the roller, and I already have the solution for that, I hope, by using the OEM rollers. The second problem is about them not, this redesign not locking when it's in the up position. And I believe I have the solution for that I will show you during the install in just a moment. So step 1 here on getting these off, I just thought I'd record this real quick. Most of these little clips and things come off pretty easily. I'm sure anyone with a little bit of technical know-how can figure that out, or maybe even without. These things are kind of a pain in the butt. To get these big clips off the sides, just stick a flathead screwdriver in there and pry, and here, pry, and this whole thing pretty much just falls off at that point. So that's how we get those off. All right, just show you really quick how I'm replacing these rollers. So we're just gonna put a little pressure there to hold it in place. If you let that slip out, obviously this little tab comes out, the whole thing just rotates. It's kind of a pain. So you wanna keep that pushed tight while you remove the screw. This comes right off. Little stud slides out. Our new roller. A little hard to get started in there, but snaps right in, and once it's in there, it's free to turn. It seems like these only go back in one way into this little slot. I don't know if you guys can see that or not. but once you get it turned the way that it was made or pressed in there, a little plastic tab goes back in the slot. And we put our screw back in. Nice and tight, don't strip anything, but you can see there it's still a nice smooth roll. And then you just repeat that procedure for the other rollers. All right, so the first part of this kit is you have 4 of these little plastic clips. 2 of them go with each side of the dishwasher. So as you look at it, you'll have one of the outside pieces that's relatively flat, and the other side has this kind of a big square cutout. This big square cutout points away from the rack. Then on the bottom, sorry, that's the top, it's closed, there's no slot there. And on the bottom, there's a little slot. So don't move the camera. So the metal part of the rack goes through this slot. That tiny little tab locks it. And then there's a little pocket built right in here to the top that finishes holding everything in place. So when you orient these, the big open pocket goes to the outside, and the edge with the slot goes toward the bottom. And you'll just kind of work these in, we'll rotate it a little bit and go right in here. So that's how it will sit. Once it's in its final position, we're just gonna let these hang for a moment, and those will go in the first opening in the grate. So you have 1, 2, 3. The large metal vertical for the rail will go here. We're gonna count 1, 2, 3 more, and this is where our other clip goes. So our clips are going in the first and 7th of those little openings. And again, both oriented the same way. Opening to the outside, slot toward the bottom. And those just kind of twist in like so. And again, we're just gonna let them hang. Then you have your support piece, your bracket. And just as it says in the directions, 1, 2, 3, 4 openings from the back. 1, 2, 3, 4 openings from the back is where this go. Kind of gently slide it in like that. And then these little clips, I'll get them started just so I don't drop them wrestling around with them here. There we go. Again, so the slot is at the bottom. That's what the metal tab is going through. You can see the big opening from the outside, and they are kind of stiff. It takes a little bit to push, and you'll hear it click. A little snap. That's the tab locking in. Same thing on the other end. Little tab locks in. So now the actual metal bracket is in place and can't come off the rack. The next part will be installing the handle, and I'll be back in a moment with a little trick on that. So before I actually install this, I thought it might be easier to show here. Even if you follow the directions, it's not really clear. This goes on the inside of the basket. This is your thumb lever. The thumb pad goes toward, it points toward the inside of the rack, and it goes toward the front of the rack. So it will be oriented like this. One of the big complaints about this particular product is that it doesn't lock. When you bring this into the upper position, it doesn't lock, it slips loose. Some people talk about heating up this little spring piece right here and bending it. Let me show you the trick. So if you look, that little spring piece, you gotta quit moving the camera, sweetie. The little spring piece drops right in along the top there. I don't think that's actually how this is designed. If you look, there's a tiny little cavity right there. And if you put the top of the spring into that little cavity and catch it on there, and then work this into the slot, that spring has a significant amount more tension, pushing these little catches against the outside. Don't maybe get a visual there. You guys can see where I have that little spring in the catch. All right, I'll be back when I finish assembling this. So this is our handle piece. And the first thing we do is we slide the metal vertical from the bracket right in here. So on the inside of the basket, we'll slide that right in. And then once it's in place, these little grooves here lock right over the edge of the basket. But we're not quite there yet. So we're going to slide this back up. Here's our locking device with the little thumb pad. Again, getting the spring down into that little pocket, not just letting it go right to the top of the casing there. So we'll get that in place. And you can see there, it hits the bottom of those latches and stays very close. Very tight, can't get past those. Now we got to hold this in place and move it right down to there where the basket locks into this. And we're in the home stretch. The little tab at the top of this piece locks right into here. This drops down. We put on our 2 screws. Lift the camera up some. And we're done. So it is in the upright position now, and it is not slipping. If we push down on our thumb lever, it goes right up where it's supposed to, and now it's locked in place there. I haven't put this in my dishwasher yet. I haven't used it yet, but after reading the reviews and looking at this product, after replacing the rollers and getting the spring positioned just right on this thumb lever, I think this is going to be great. Good luck with your dishwashers, guys.